In this video, I'll be showing you how to create a basic web page in HTML. So now that Atom has been installed, the next step would be to create a web page in HTML. And to do that, just come here, you would see File, click on File and click on New File. So you can see now our file is showing untitled at the top because we are yet to save this file. So after creating a new file, come back to this place, click on File, then scroll down and click on Save. And when you click on Save, it's going to be taking you to your system directory. And in your system directory, this is just where you choose where you want to save your file. So for someone like me, I like saving things on my desktop, but in this video I'll just be saving this in my documents. Okay, so I'll just click on Documents to choose. In fact, let me just choose desktop. So I click on desktop. So when I click on desktop, I will now create a new folder on my desktop. So I'll just come to this new folder, I'll click here, and then I will just name my folder HTML project. HTML project. So you can name it anything. I will name it HTML project. Then I will double click on the folder and now save my HTML file inside this HTML project. So your file name can be anything. I can save it with my name, James, or anything you want to save it with, but just make sure it has a .html extension. All right, so I can save it with james.html, matthew.html, nigeria.html, or anything. So I'll just come here, but what I want you to save it with is index.html, because index is a global term in programming and coding where someone just sees it and knows it's an important file. So I'll be saving mine with index.html, and once I do that, I now click on Save. And now you can see that my file has been saved as a HTML document now. So you can see I have index.html at the top to show you that this is saved correctly. And this other side, I can see my project folder here, and I can also see the file here, the HTML file here, index.html file.html. So if you want to create more files, you still follow the same process. Come to File, New File, and then you keep creating different files here. But this is what we have here now. Now HTML has a syntax. Okay, so for you to start coding or designing any website with HTML, you need to follow that syntax. And because I'm using Atom, to get that syntax, I just need to type HTML. And once I type this, you can see it has been suggested for me. So I just click on it, and you can see that this is the syntax for HTML, this whole thing here. In fact, let me just zoom this interface so you can see it. So I just want to zoom it so you can see it properly. So you can see this is the syntax for HTML. So I'm going to be explaining this syntax to you now. And the first thing here, we have doctype HTML. Okay, so this is not really a HTML section. It's just a declaration telling the browser exactly what to open. It's just telling the browser that this is a HTML file, because web browsers can display different documents and not just HTML. They can display SVG files, XML files, and so on. So we need to tell the browser what type of file this is. We do that by using the doctype declaration. So this is called the doctype declaration, or doctype definition, as some people prefer to call it. So this is just us trying to tell the browser the type of document, that this is a HTML document. Now when you come to the next one, we have this HTML here, and like I said, we have two types of elements in HTML. We have the container elements and the empty elements. Now this is a container element because it has the opening tag. You can see we have HTML here, and then it has the closing tag here. And because we are using Atom, you can see that Atom has this blue underline here. there's a blue underline at the opening and also the closing, which just helps you identify the closing tag for a particular element. Okay, so all these things in red, they are elements. We have the HTML element, the head element, meta, title, body element, and all that. So some of these elements are container elements, while the others are empty elements. Like this HTML has an opening tag and it has a closing tag, and the way to identify a closing tag is this / here. It just indicates that this is a closing tag. Then we have the head. Head is the opening, you can see it here, and then we have the closing here. Then here we have the meta, and you can see that the meta is an empty element because it doesn't have a closing tag. So there is no slash, there is no / meta. So this is an empty element. Then here we have the title, which has the opening and closing tag, which means this is a container element. We also have the body, and this is a container element because it has the opening and the closing tag here. So as time goes on, we'll be making use of all these elements, and you get to understand better how to use these elements. So for now, this one is the document type declaration. Here we have this HTML element, and this just tells the browser where HTML starts and ends. So you can see it's like a wrapper. Okay, so this is not like a really serious section. This is just a wrapper that just indicates where HTML starts and where it ends. And here you can see it has some attributes like the language we are using and the direction of the text, which is left to right. But we are going to be treating attributes later in this video. So for now, just ignore these things because we are going to be treating them later. So this is the function of this HTML opening and closing tag. Then we have the head element, and this contains a lot of information about the page, like the title of the page and the meta tags. Here you can see we have this character set. So the head is not also that serious. It's not a really serious section. It just contains information about our website. All right. And then inside the head, we have the title and we have the meta. And the meta also just gives more information about our website. And for the title, like the name indicates, it's just we just put in the title of our website, and this shows up in the title bar of our web browser. So you just come here and put in the title of your website. Then when you come to the body, this is the primary section of your web page. It's like the heart and soul of your web page. So everything you want to appear on your website needs to come inside the body. All right, everything you want to appear on your website needs to come inside the body. So this is an important section in this syntax. All right, so that's just basically the syntax of HTML. So to start designing our website, we need to start putting in elements inside the body so they can show in our web browsers. So for example, we are going to be adding the heading element. So I'll just come here and I'll put H1. And because I'm using Atom, once I put H1 and I click here, it just brings in the element for me. So this is the opening tag and the closing tag, which means H1 is a container element. So when I put H1, I want to put a heading in my website. So I can just write something like welcome to my website. All right, and then I save it. So you can see I now save it, and I need to go and open this in my browser, and then you see this appears on my website. And how do I do that? I'll just come to my desktop. Remember, when I created this file, I saved it on my desktop. So in a folder on my desktop. So I'll just come to my desktop, and you can see we have this HTML project. So I double click on it, and then you can see we have index, and this shows in form of a browser because this is a HTML document now. So our laptop is identifying this as a HTML document. That's why you can see it just saves with the default browser on my PC, which is a Microsoft Edge. So I'm going to double click here and launch this. So I just double click here, and when it opens up, you can see welcome to my website because I added this heading element. I want to put a heading on my website, so welcome to my website. And for now, you can see our site doesn't have a title yet, so it's just showing the name of our file. So if I come back here and I come to the title element and I put something like Mesologic website and I just save it, when I go back to my browser and I refresh, you can see now we have Mesologic website showing as the title of this web page, and we have welcome to my website. So you can see that is how you create a heading in your web page. Now, I told you earlier that if you want to master HTML, just learn how to master the use of elements. Know what each element does. For a heading, a big heading, we need H1. Now we have from H1 to H6. So I have H1 here. Let me just come down and type H2 and press enter. Then I will write the same thing. Welcome to my website. And then I'll save it. After saving it, I'll go back to my browser and I will refresh. And you can see that the H2 is smaller than the H1. You can see H2 is smaller than H1. And we have this. It keeps on going on and on till H6. H6 is the last one. So I'll just come here and I'll skip to H6. I'll just put H6 here and press enter. You can see it just creates the element for me. And I just need to write the same thing. Welcome to my website. And then I'll save it, Ctrl S. Make sure you always save your work before going to refresh, or else it won't reflect on your web page. So after saving it, I will now come to my browser and I'll refresh, and you can see H6 looks very small. H6 looks very small. Oops. So we have from H1 to H6 for the heading element. So that's how you create a header in your web page. Now I'm going to be deleting all these other ones. So now I have H1. Then I'll come to the next line. If you need a paragraph, you just need to use the P element. So to create a paragraph, I'll just type P and I'll press enter. And you can see Atom creates the paragraph element for me, which is a container element because it has the opening and closing tag. So inside this place, I can just come and type my content. So I can just type something like, this is a web page I want to create to practice everything I will be learning in this course. All right, so you can see I just typed something, and now you can see we have a blue dot here, which means our file is not saved yet. So I need to save it before I can go to the browser and refresh. So if I press Ctrl S on my laptop, you see that this blue dot disappears, which means my work is now saved. So I'll just come here and press Ctrl S. And when I go back to my browser and I refresh, you can now see that we have this here. In fact, let me increase this size so you can see it. Okay, so you can see we have the H1, which is a very big heading, and then we have the paragraph here. So you can see how we are now creating our website with this HTML elements. All right, so this is going to be it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.